Come on in. Good afternoon.
It's the first period after lunch. Victor has had an argument with fellow student Davy in the dining hall. He feels he's been humiliated in front of his friends. The teacher doesn't know about the incident. She's had a couple of clashes with Victor before, but she's never seen him this agitated.
Can you take a seat, please? Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Kenny. Good afternoon, Davy.
Once Davy comes into the room, Victor explodes.
Smiling, yeah? I'll give you something to smile about.
Stop that! Get your stuff and get out!
I've done enough, haven't you, Bram? Can't hold a bit of teasing, can you?
Stop that! Stop that!
Why are you yelling at me? He started it.
Hitting a child, moving my desk, need I go on?
He provoked me.
I don't care.
He wanted that to happen.
Get out!
Did you see the face he's pulling at me?
I don't care. Get out!
Did you see that face he's pulling at me?
Get out!
I'm not going anywhere.
Get out!
It's a really tricky one because it escalated very, very quickly, didn't it? So really my main question on this would be, what could she have done differently at that point? Once that incident had happened and there'd been that initial flash point, what should she have really done, I think?
I think initially what she should have done was spoken to both boys. So it was clear to both boys that they needed to stop, because initially she spoke to Victor and didn't tell David that he couldn't stop his behaviour. And so he carried on his behaviour and his teasing and his comments. So I think initially speak to both of them. You know, she could have stepped in between them. I think that's, you know, a grey area. Again, you know, if you think about the relationships that that teacher has with those students, are they comfortable in doing that? Was there a kind of a threat, a real threat of kind of danger or health and safety for those students, of continued violence? Were there any kind of objects around to break up, so to create that barrier between the two boys?
Her aim would be to separate the two boys. Maybe, Davy, you go sit over there. Victor, I'm leading you outside. Yeah, so she has to assess what the dangers are to herself and the rest of the class, because the most important thing as the teacher is to provide a safe environment for everybody in the classroom, and it wasn't safe at that time, so yeah.
It's really hard, I think, though, to do, isn't it, in a split second, make that judgment. And I think that is also about planning and planning ahead, and about protocols and systems in the schools, in the school itself, because if you know that it's okay to get in between students and that's something that you practice in your school, but you know how to do it safely, then that's okay. You might well use that strategy. I would never advise doing it if you're in the state she was in.
Oh, no.
Because she's going to escalate it just by what she's giving out, those vibes that she's giving out at that point in time,
definitely.
you know. And actually, I don't think young people like to see teachers out of control.
No.
I don't think any of us like it, because I think we're frightened by anger. We're actually frightened by people getting angry, even though it's totally natural. It's something that actually makes us feel hugely uncomfortable when you've got a teacher like that who is out of control, and it starts to bubble up because the behaviour is reflected, and they'll start mirroring that behaviour. But I would wonder there what she could have done at the very beginning, once she'd actually seen him, given that the rest of the class were coming in.
Maybe at that stage it might have been an idea that she goes over to have a chat with him, or pulls him outside and say, what's going on, what's the problem, how can we solve this situation so you're prepared and ready for the lesson, which he obviously wasn't.
Because she actually did observe something quite early on, and it would have been so simple just to move from where she was. She could have still watched the other students coming in and just be next to him. And immediately when Davy came in, there was not he wasn't in the position to attack him. I think there is something slightly tricky about that early intervention in terms of her actually going up to him, being with him when the rest of the class are coming in, because it's about time, isn't it? So how much of that are you going to afford to Victor in terms of, you know, the rest of the class, how they're going to get on?
I think it's a balancing act, because I think if you don't intervene early, then potentially a situation could arise like the one in the classroom that could take you 5-10 minutes to bring the whole class back down again, because they've been witness to it and involved in it all. 2 or 3 minutes now potentially saves 5 or 10 minutes if you don't stop it.
To handle this kind of behaviour in a classroom, keep your composure, maintaining a sense of control. Address both students equally, and where appropriate, safely move in between the students to diffuse the situation.